The echoes of Hillcrest Drive, in the heart of suburban tranquility. Hillcrest Drive was anything but ordinary. For decades, this picturesque lane, lined with cherry blossoms and well-manicured lawns, harbored a chilling undercurrent that the locals whispered about only in hushed tones. Alex, a journalist with a penchant for the paranormal, had heard such rumors from a distant cousin during a family gathering, sparking an irrepressible curiosity. As the newcomer to Hillcrest, Alex was met with wary eyes and tight-lipped neighbors. The house at number 45, where Alex had rented a room, stood out with its slightly overgrown garden and curtains that seemed perpetually drawn. The landlord, a gaunt, middle-aged man named Mr. Harrow, had been peculiarly brief during their interactions, quick to hand over the keys and even quicker to leave. On Alex's first night, the air was thick with the scent of jasmine from the garden, but as darkness fell, a different atmosphere enveloped the house. The walls, laden with decades of secrets, seemed to creak more ominously here, and the wind whispered through the branches like voices from the past. As Alex settled in, the quaint features of the room gave way to an eerie feeling of being watched. Photographs on the mantel of people who seemed to gaze a little too intently, old books that fell open to pages of cryptic passages, and a mirror that, in the flickering candlelight, seemed to reflect more than just the room. The first week passed with sleepless nights. Sounds of footsteps in the empty hallway, soft thuds against the walls, and the faint sound of someone sobbing in the distance became nightly occurrences. Each morning, Alex would find things slightly askew. Books not where they were left, windows cracked open, and once, a chillingly cold breeze blowing despite a closed window. Driven by a mix of fear and intrigue, Alex began to dig deeper into the history of Hillcrest Drive, interviewing the residents. Each shared tales shrouded in sadness and horror. Families torn apart by sudden disappearances, loved ones found inexplicably insane, and homes abandoned overnight. Determined to uncover the truth, Alex found their way to the local library, where old newspapers and public records told tales of Hillcrest's original owner, a reclusive and reportedly mad scientist who had vanished without a trace. The deeper Alex dug, the more the house seemed to resist, its nightly hauntings growing more aggressive. One evening, as thunder rolled ominously across the skies, Alex discovered a hidden door in the basement. The hidden door, upon discovering the hidden door in the basement, under the dim light of a flickering bulb, Alex felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. The door was cleverly concealed behind an old bookshelf laden with dusty tomes on subjects as benign as local flora and as disturbing as ancient funeral rites. With a deep breath, Alex pushed the shelf aside, revealing a cold, stone entryway leading downward into darkness. Hesitantly, Alex descended the creaking steps, the air growing colder with each step, as if descending into the bowels of the earth itself. The basement extended far beyond what the house's exterior suggested, a sprawling subterranean labyrinth that hinted at illegal construction, or something far more sinister. The basement's secrets. The basement was segmented into rooms, each locked with rusty padlocks that fell away too easily at Alex's touch. Each room revealed remnants of the house's grim past. One contained stacks of old newspapers detailing the mysterious disappearances on Hillcrest Drive. Another was filled with personal belongings, watches, diaries, children's toys, that seemed to have been hastily left behind. In the furthest room, Alex discovered an old phonograph, still in working condition. Upon playing it, the haunting sounds of a violin filled the air, so sorrowful and deep that it seemed to resonate within Alex's very soul, evoking images of the house's previous inhabitants caught in their last moments of despair. First terrifying encounter, as the violin wailed, the shadows in the corners of the room grew denser, and a chilling gust swept through, extinguishing the lantern. In the pitch black, Alex heard a soft whisper, "Leave while you can." The voice was so close, Alex could almost feel the breath upon their neck. Panicked, Alex fled the room, the echo of their own footsteps a frantic drumbeat against the stone floor. Back in the safety of the main house, Alex tried to rationalize the experiences as tricks of the mind, spurred by the house's eerie atmosphere. But sleep brought no refuge. dreams plagued by visions of a shadowy figure, its face obscured by time, whispering secrets in languages long forgotten. Deepening investigation, determined to understand the truth, Alex spent the following days at the local archives, piecing together the history of Hillcrest Drive. The house had been built by a Dr. Edgar Varnick, a scientist whose experiments in the early 1900s on human psychology had been both revolutionary and horrifying. His research, funded by anonymous benefactors, aimed to breach the veil between life and death. It was rumored that he had chosen Hillcrest Drive for its isolation and the peculiar energy of the land. Local legends hinted that Varnick's experiments had opened a door that he could not close, bringing forth something that even he could not control. The townspeople spoke of a night where the sky glowed an eerie red and screams echoed from the Varnick estate. The night Varnick himself disappeared. The night of shadows. Armed with this knowledge, Alex returned to the house, intent on confronting the past head-on. That night, as the moon cast a pale glow through the clouds, Alex sat in the study, Varnick's last known haunt, surrounded by his journals and scientific apparatus. As midnight approached, the house began to stir. The air thickened, and shadows danced along the walls, coalescing into the figure of a man. His features blurred, but his presence overwhelming. The room grew oppressively cold as the figure approached, the air filled with the scent of ozone and decay. "Who are you?" Alex demanded, voice shaking. "I am what he left behind," the figure replied, its voice a mix of many, both male and female, young and old. "I am the sorrow, the pain, the longing. I am trapped, and so I trap others." "Why?" Alex asked, breath visible in the freezing air. "To remember, to forget," the figure whispered, moving closer. "To live again." The figure reached out, and Alex felt an icy grip tighten around their heart. As the icy grip tightened, Alex felt a rush of memories flood through their mind. Not their own, but those of countless others who had crossed the threshold of the Varnick estate. It was as if the house itself was alive, feeding off the energies of those it had ensnared over the decades. The revelation, struggling against the overwhelming force, Alex managed to break free from the spectral grasp. Gasping for air, they backed away from the apparition, which seemed to flicker and wane as Alex's determination strengthened. The spirit's voice followed them as they retreated, a cacophony of whispers that melded into a single, coherent plea: "Free us." With a new resolve, Alex turned to Dr. Varnick's journals, the writings that might hold the key to undoing the torment tethered to the house. Hours passed in fervent research, piecing together the mad scientist's notes on ethereal boundaries and spiritual entrapments. Varnick had been attempting to create a gateway to what he called the Echo Realm, a dimension of pure psychic energy that he believed was the source of all human suffering and joy. But something had gone wrong, and instead of a gateway, he had created a prison. The plan, armed with this knowledge, Alex realized that to free the spirits and themselves from the house's curse, they would need to complete Varnick's ritual, in reverse. This meant constructing a device as Varnick had, using the blueprints left in his journals. The device was designed to channel and reverse the energy flow, potentially sealing the breach. Gathering materials from around the house, copper wire, magnets, glass tubes, and other arcane components, Alex worked through the night, constructing the intricate mechanism under the watchful eyes of the lingering shadows. As the device neared completion, the atmosphere grew tense, electric, as if the house itself sensed what was coming. The final night, the storm that had been brewing broke as Alex set the device in the center of Varnick's old laboratory in the basement. Lightning illuminated the room in stark, revealing flashes as Alex initiated the sequence. The device hummed to life, its core glowing with an ethereal light. But the spirits were not yet ready to relinquish their hold. Shadows swirled around the room, coalescing into the form of Dr. Varnick himself, his face contorted in a grimace of rage and despair. "You cannot undo what has been done," he bellowed, his voice echoing through the corridors. "I can try," Alex shouted back, adjusting the settings on the device, pushing it to draw more power, more energy from the surroundings. With a deafening crack, the device surged, a beam of light shooting upwards, piercing the ceiling and the storm clouds above. The house shook violently, as if in the throes of an earthquake, the walls groaning under the strain of the energies being unleashed. Aftermath. Leaving the Varnick estate behind, Alex felt a weight lifted from their shoulders. They had come seeking a story but found themselves part of a much larger narrative, one of sorrow, pain, and ultimately release. Though Hillcrest Drive would never be just another street and the house at number 45 would always have its dark history, the echoes of its past horrors had been silenced, replaced with a cautious hope for the future. As Alex drove away, the first rays of the morning sun lit up Hillcrest Drive, casting long shadows that seemed, for the first time in a long time, simply ordinary.